The APC is not in the best of shape right now as the plot thickens to remove party's national chairman Adams Oshiomhole. The court okays next week NEC meeting scheduled by an anti-Oshiomhole official of the party. And the Imo State former governor, Honorable Emeka Ihedioha, has cancelled his homecoming event after the police ruled out rallies in the state amidst claims by the APC that a planned homecoming is for ulterior motives. Hello everyone and welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Oshiomhole at Channels Television's global headquarters in Lagos. Let's begin with the political crisis in Imo State where the former governor Emeka Ihedioha has cancelled his trip back home. In a statement today, Ihedioha says he's avoiding any possibility of violence that may be occasioned by the claims of planned violence. According to him, he said the statement by the Imo State government made several spurious allegations, including that he planned to lead violent protests as well as import thugs to perpetrate violence. He claims that he is not a violent person. Meanwhile, the Imo State Police Command had said a group of persons have concluded plans to use the intended return or visit of Honorable Emeka Ihedioha to Imo State on Thursday next week to foment trouble. And as such cause breach of public peace in the state. The force says they acknowledge the right of Mr. Ihedioha as well as every citizen of his state to exercise their freedom of movement as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but one that there should be no rally, gathering, or assembly of any kind in relation to the visit. This, according to the police, is to avoid such an event being hijacked or used by mischief makers to cause chaos or such rallies, gathering or assembly snowballing into breach of peace. Well, there are some other political stories we have for you. Don't forget, we are putting the beam of light on the crisis rocking the APC, as it does look like there are meetings that will happen in Abuja this evening. We understand that those meetings are being held, pockets of meetings are being held, all in a plan to either keep Mr. Oshiomhole in office or to remove him. Tonight, we dissect the court order asking that the NEC meeting should be held, although there are some members of the National Working Committee who said that Mr. Victor Giodom to convene the meeting is illegal. We'll find out after these political roundup, everyone.
President Muhammadu Buhari was in Birnin Kebbi, the Kebbi State capital. He attended the agricultural fair and display, which is part of events lined up for the 2020 Argungu International Fishing Festival. The president was received by the Kebbi State Governor Abubakar Bagudu and other government officials. The Argungu Festival is one of Nigeria's biggest cultural celebrations. It celebrates the rich cultural and fishing heritage of the people of Kebbi State. The House of Representatives has held a special session on the plight of out-of-school children in Nigeria. In his lead debate, Speaker of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, says the session will help advance solutions to the problems of poverty, defeating insurgency and attracting foreign investment. He says a huge number of out-of-school children has made it impossible for these challenges to get the desired solutions. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has reserved judgment in the appeal filed by Senator Ifeanyi Ubah of the Young Progressives Party YPP, challenging the judgment that sacked him as a lawmaker representing Anambra South Senatorial District in the National Assembly. A three-man panel of justices of the appellate court, led by Justice Stephen Aja, reserved the judgment to a date to be communicated to all parties after the lawyers representing Senator Ubah adopted his written address while pleading with the court to sustain their appeal. The House of Representatives Committee on Environment is calling for increased pace in the ongoing cleanup of Ogoni land. The chairman of the House Committee, Mr. Johnson Obuma, believes that the early conclusion of the cleanup will pave the way for further cleanup of other polluted areas in the Niger Delta.
Well, let's get down to business, everyone. But first and foremost, let's tell you that we understand that the deposed Emir of Kano, Sanusi, Muhammad Sanusi II, has gone to court, dragged the Inspector General of Police, the Department of State Services, the Attorney General of Kano State, and the Attorney General of the Federation to court over his banishment. That's some of the news coming in. His lawyers had filed a case in court over his dethronement and banishment. Let's get down to our business of tonight. It looks so much that the plot to remove Mr. Oshiomhole, the APC national chairman, is very intense now as the anti-Oshiomhole forces are bent on going ahead with the plans to hold the NEC meeting next week, Wednesday. A court order was granted yesterday where the court okayed the NEC meeting. And ahead of that NEC meeting, and the plans looks that is in top gear for the 17th of March 2020, indications that the days of the suspended national chairman, according to the anti-Oshiomhole forces, is numbered. Further, those facts are coming up again earlier today as billboard and banner bearing his picture and that of President Muhammadu Buhari have disappeared from the party secretariat. The ruling party, which has been embroiled in internal crisis for some months now, has, however, replaced it with a new one bearing only the picture of President Muhammadu Buhari. And fielding questions from journalists, the acting national secretary of the party, Mr. Victor Gadum, says preparations are already in top gear for the Emergency National Executive Committee meeting built to hold next week at the party's national secretariat. Mr. Gadum explains that there is no court order served on the party mandating it to admit certain persons to the NEC meeting, as he insists that all officers who are qualified to be part of the meeting have been duly notified and invited. Take a listen to him.
As NWC, yes, we just concluded our meeting, and just to inform the public that the NEC meeting scheduled for 17th of March will still hold, and every preparation towards that meeting is in top gear. I want to use the opportunity to invite all NEC members to attend the meeting. It's for us in the party, and I won't discuss that here, but I can tell you that every member of NEC is prepared to attend this meeting.
Interesting days. Well, let's get a sense of what this means altogether. And I have two gentlemen who are APC chieftains in their own right. We have Mr. Ray Murphy, he's a spokesperson of the APC South, and also Mr. Richard Menga, who is also a chieftain of the APC. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on. Let me begin with you, Mr. Murphy. It does look like there is a section of the party leadership who want Adams Oshiomhole out by all means. Is that the plan for the NEC meeting, which is scheduled for next week?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'd like just to correct the introduction. I am not a spokesman for APC South. I am a chieftain of the party from the South. I don't think I've heard this talk about factions in the APC, and I think it's just a media creation. There is no faction in the APC that I know of. APC is a party that is solid, and APC is a law-abiding party. As you are fully aware, there is a court order barring the Oshiomhole from being addressed as national chairman. And our party, a law-abiding party, has obeyed that court order. I do not understand why some people say it is factionalization. It is not. We are law-abiding, and in terms of hierarchy of a party, as soon as someone is asked to step aside like the court has done so, the party continues to exist. And why Victor Gaidom is the one in place now is because the people on top of him, in terms of hierarchy, the deputy national chairman are not there. The secretary has left the party to be governor and is yet to be officially replaced. So there are no factions in APC, and nobody is actually trying to get Oshiomhole out of office. As I've said, there's simply a process, a court has spoken, and we are acting in consonance with the court order. So first and foremost,
Mr. Murphy, you said that, just a moment, you said that there's no plan to remove Oshiomhole. But for the NEC meeting next week, what do you think is the agenda?
Yes. You see, as parties move on, you have to appreciate the fact that, you really have to appreciate the fact that there's no vacuum. And naturally, with all this development, it is necessary for our party to address its main body, which is NEC. Apart from convention, the next body is NEC. Convention gives authority to NEC, and NEC is the highest body of the party beyond the convention. Now, with these developments, our party must necessarily call NEC members to address them, to update them on developments in the party. So it is a figment of some people's imagination that there is something of that nature going on. You know, and like I said, Oshiomhole has been chairman until there was a court order. And it is really, really strange to me when I hear all this talk about crisis. There's no crisis in APC.
Let's bring in Mr. Menga into the conversation. Mr. Menga, in your own thinking, is Mr. Oshiomhole still the party national chairman? And do you fear that there are plans to remove him?
Well, as a law-abiding party, there was a court judgment that he should cease to act as the national chairman of APC. But in my own reasoning, I think we shouldn't have gone that far. You see, APC was formed to correct some of the things we saw in other parties. And previously, we saw how other parties were changing their chairman left, right, and center. And I feel as a party that was formed on the basis of justice, we should tread in the right path. I think Article 21B of the APC says, if anything is found against a public officer or any high-ranking member of the party, it should be reported to the National Working Committee. The National Working Committee shall not debate on that, but they should set a fact-finding committee to sit and decide on that case. So I don't think something is a bit missing there. There was no, to my understanding, I don't think there was any committee that was set up to study whatever allegations they had on Comrade Oshiomhole.
Mr. Menga, let me ask you straight away. Do you think the meeting, the NEC meeting of Tuesday next week, the 17th, is legally convened by the statutes of the APC?
Well, I would say it's legally convened because there was a court order that banned a comrade from being the national chairman. And there has not been any counter court order. So as it
order from Kano, from Justice Alagua. What about that other one that says that he should continue as the chairman of the party?
Well, that was where I was heading towards, and you cut me short. You see, let's not prolong issues. In a presidential system of government, the president is the head of the party. If you want to apportion blames or talk of judgment and counter-judgments or suspensions and counter-suspensions, that will be counterproductive to the party. Whether the proposed meeting is legal or illegal, as a faithful party man, as somebody who is so much concerned about the future of APC, I am of the opinion that even if the meeting is held to remove comrade or to let him continue, the president should come in and intervene. Because by right, the president is the leader of APC. That is contained in the presidential system of government. So whether the meeting is legal or illegal, as a faithful party man, the president should find a way of amicably resolving the issue. Because I know it is popularly said, when two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. And it is easier to destroy a house than to build it. What you have used 100 years to build, you can use a minute to destroy it.
All right, Mr. Menga, let's take a break now. When we come back, we look at the possibilities of what could happen next week. Mr. Oshiomhole and some of his allies in the NWC are insisting that that NEC meeting being called by Mr. Victor Gideon and the rest is illegal. But they say they're going ahead with that meeting. And there are also moves, we understand, in making removing Mr. Oshiomhole out of office. We dissect the future of the APC and what the alternatives or options are for them. Join us again, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's get back to the conversation. Mr. Ray Murphy, a chieftain of the APC, and Mr. Richard Menga is also a chieftain of the APC. Both of them are discussing the crisis rocking the APC. Who wants Mr. Oshiomhole out? What happened at the NEC meeting, which there's been a lot of controversy whether or not it's illegal or legal to constitute or convene that meeting. The person who called for that meeting, whether or not he has a right under the APC law to do that. Let's get back to the conversation now. Mr. Murphy, where does your party go from here? You've seen what has happened, for example, if you look at what happened to the PDP, a similar situation happened to the PDP pre-2015 election or post-2015 election, if I can recall properly. And you saw what happened to them when they went into election with that kind of crisis. Are you afraid that your party is headed for an abyss, a political abyss, if you're not careful?
Shaun, the fact is that there's no, I don't know why people are blowing this out of proportion. The fact remains that our party is evolving, is growing, is getting stronger. A party is a legal entity made up of about 15 million people. A court has given an order. We are obeying the court order. I don't know how this translates to a crisis. Of course, there are some people who are not happy with the fact that the party is continuing. I understand a few of our party officers are trying to stop this NEC meeting for next week. But thankfully, a court has given an order restraining them from interfering with the 17th emergency NEC meeting. And when people begin to talk about a crisis in APC, I wonder where it is coming from. Because I was part and parcel of a process in 2018 that brought Oshiomhole into office. There was a convention. And a party chairman is not the party. A party chairman is an arrowhead of the membership. And there are issues around the party today, and this chairman is standing aside. The party will continue to act. So when I hear all this media characterization of crisis, I don't understand it.
Okay, so Mr. Murphy, so that it doesn't look, so that you stop painting the media black. So what do you, how would you describe what? No. You are making it look, because politicians always make us look like we are the bad ones here. But you have a problem in your party. It is not our own creation. How would you describe, for example, the situation between the governor of Edo State and Mr. Oshiomhole, where there were bonfires, and the fact that Mr. Oshiomhole was said not to come to the state except it takes permission from the governor? How would you describe that? How would you also describe the situation where at the party national secretariat today, the picture of your national chairman has been pulled down? How would you also describe a situation where some governors are openly saying that they want Oshiomhole out? Is that media creation? Are we the one creating the crisis, or you are the ones creating it yourselves?
Let me answer you quite clearly. The chairman's picture was removed and the president's picture is in place. The chairman, there's a court order that says the chairman should not parade himself as chairman. If we left that picture there, it would mean that we're contravening that court order. And I said the APC is a law-abiding party. That is important for us to establish that. The relationship between Oshiomhole and the governor of Edo is a function of politics of Edo State. I am fully aware that some persons associated with Oshiomhole formed EPM. And the rules of our party says that you cannot be in APC and form contending organizations. So naturally, the governor of Edo State put his foot down on that being party men, they had no business forming parallel structures in the state. And that is in our constitution. So I take maybe let me withdraw my statement about the media, but let me also say quite clearly that these issues are being blown out of proportion. Baba Oshiomhole is a person. He's a person. He's a member of the party, and then he's our chairman. That the court has asked him to stand aside cannot be
Mr. Murphy,
misconstrued to be a crisis.
do you
That's
think?
why I'm worried about the word crisis.
Do you think that the president will attend that meeting next week?
I am not a prophet like some Nigerians are, but I conjecture that the president will be there because the president is a member of NEC.
Okay.
I expect him to be in the place. I expect that the president gave consent before these processes are started.
All right, Mr. Menga, give us a sense of what you think is happening from what you understand, because some of the underground meetings that are happening, the ones at the night and the ones that we cannot see, we understand that there are gatherings of some governors, pro and anti Oshiomhole. We don't know whether the villa is with Mr. Oshiomhole or whether or not he is with the villa. But in this case, what do you think could happen next week, should that NEC meeting hold?
Well, it's quite unfortunate we're having this crisis in the APC. But I want to agree a little. Did you say
crisis?
I want to disagree a little with my brother Murphy.
Yes.
Because a national chairman of a party has been suspended. And before then, the deputy chairman, not Lawal Shaibu, was suspended. And Ino Abdukadi, the deputy vice chairman, not West, was suspended. And before then, the governor of Ondo State was Rotimi Akeredolu, was suspended. So if they're suspending people left, right, and center, and you say there are no crises in the party, so I don't know Murphy's definition of crisis. They are suspending people left, right, and center, and my brother Murphy is saying that there are no crises in the APC.
If will permit me to answer here. Sorry, if
I think there are crises. Let's call a spade. But what I think, whatever is happening in the APC is contradictory to Article 21B of the party, which has clearly stipulated that anybody found wanting, the National Working Committee should set a committee, and a fact-finding committee should sit and deliberate on the issues in contention before a decision will be taken. And before setting that committee, it has clearly stipulated that the National Working Committee should not deliberate on that before setting a committee. They should allow the committee to submit its findings. It is the findings of the committee that will make the NWC take a decision. And secondly, you ask if the president is going to attend that meeting. None of us is in the position to know if the villa is behind that or not. None of us is in the position to say that. So I think
all right.
we're not supposed to answer that.
Let's close now. And let me give Mr. Murphy, he seems he wants to contribute, but we just about 10 or 15 seconds to go. Mr. Murphy, you give us a final word on the program.
Let me establish the fact that all these suspensions he mentioned were suspensions carried about Oshiomhole. Those are not suspensions of the party. That's part of the reasons why some of these people who want Oshiomhole out, they say he is not following due process in suspending people. And I'm one of those who believe that our party will be stronger from these exercises.
All right.
There's no crisis in APC. Of course, there are contentions within a party which is political, but there's nothing in APC that can be called a crisis.
All right. Well, we must leave it at that. But you know what? Sometimes, that's why you have this program, to give you perspective. Politicians will confuse you with words. You will get your dictionary to find the meaning of crisis. At some point, Mr. Oshiomhole and Mr. Obaseki had said they were confusing people when they met at Mr. Oshiomhole's house. Few days later, there was crisis. They say there's no crisis, but we are seeing crisis. That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Oshiomhole. Bye for now.